Tonight, allow yourself to settle into a calm awareness, letting the world around you soften just a little. Let your shoulders release, your hands rest comfortably, and your body sink gently into whatever is supporting you. There is nothing urgent, nothing demanding your attention, only the unfolding of this story, each moment unfolding slowly, carrying you forward with ease. And now, here we go, drifting together into a quiet world of gentle shadows and soft light, where the air feels thick with calm, and every sound seems to stretch and shimmer. Imagine a small cottage, resting at the edge of a peaceful village, surrounded by fields that ripple softly in the wind, like waves made of green and gold. In this cottage lives a boy named Jack, and it is here, among the quiet folds of morning light and the gentle hum of life, that our story begins. Jack lived with his mother in a small cottage at the far edge of the village. Their home was modest, made of wood that had grown soft and pale over time, with a roof slightly crooked over a stone chimney that puffed tiny curls of smoke each morning. Inside, the cottage smelled faintly of warm bread and hay, and the furniture, though worn and uneven, carried the comforting weight of familiarity. Jack had grown up in this place, walking over the creaking floorboards, noticing how the light changed through the windows throughout the day, listening to the soft whispers of the world outside, hearing the wind brushing against the trees, the rustle of leaves, the occasional flutter of a bird's wings. Life for Jack and his mother was simple. Each day passed slowly, marked by quiet routines, by the small rhythms of work and care, by the rise and fall of sunlight across the fields. Their possessions were few: a worn table, some chairs, and their cow, Daisy, who had been with them for as long as Jack could remember. Daisy was old now, her coat dull and rough in places, her steps slower than they had once been, but she was gentle and loyal, and Jack felt the warmth of her presence like a quiet, constant heartbeat. In the mornings, he would brush her coat, noticing the tiny movements of her ears, the soft flick of her tail, the gentle press of her hooves into the earth. In the afternoons, he would lead her through the fields, feeling the way the soft grass bent underfoot, and listening to the distant hum of life all around him. One morning, when the sunlight spilled pale and soft over the fields, Jack's mother spoke to him in a voice both calm and heavy. The food was nearly gone, and the small coins they had saved had already been spent on the necessities of past weeks. She asked Jack to take Daisy to the village market, to try and sell her. Jack felt a gentle ache in his chest. He loved Daisy deeply, and the thought of parting from her, even temporarily, made the morning feel weightier, like the air itself had thickened. Still, he understood the need. He promised his mother he would be careful, and together they moved quietly, their steps slow and measured, as Jack led Daisy along the familiar path that curved between the fields and into the village. The morning air was cool, carrying the soft scent of wet grass, distant flowers, and the faint sweetness of earth warmed by the rising sun. Jack noticed the way Daisy's hooves pressed lightly into the soft earth, the steady rise and fall of her breath, the quiet movement of the wind through the leaves. Birds called softly from the treetops. Insects hummed low in the distance, and each sound stretched gently, lingering in the air like a soft echo. Jack's thoughts drifted gently along with the sounds, floating with the rhythm of the path, noticing the small details, the way sunlight glinted on a dew-covered leaf, the gentle sway of a wildflower, the way a small butterfly hovered briefly before drifting away. Each moment felt elongated, as though time itself had slowed to match the calmness surrounding him. Halfway to the village, Jack noticed an old man standing beneath the shade of a tall tree, the branches arching gracefully overhead, leaves moving softly like a lullaby in the wind. His coat brushed the ground, and his eyes carried a spark of curiosity and kindness. He smiled at Jack, and for a moment, the world seemed to pause around them. The man asked where Jack was headed, and Jack explained softly, telling the story of Daisy and the need to sell her. The old man nodded, then reached into his coat and drew out a small handful of beans. They glimmered faintly, catching the sunlight in a way that made each one appear to pulse gently, almost as if they were alive. "These are magical beans," the man said quietly, and Jack felt a warmth settle in his chest at the words. There was a quiet trust in the man's tone, a soft certainty that made Jack's hands hold the beans a little more firmly. The old man explained that the beans were worth far more than any coin, more than any simple trade at the market. Jack hesitated only for a moment before handing over Daisy's rope, feeling the gentle weight of the choice and accepting the shimmering beans in return. The man smiled, guiding Daisy along the path, and Jack watched them disappear into the distance, leaving the small seeds in his hand, warm and faintly glowing. When Jack returned to the cottage, his mother's face fell at the sight of the beans. She frowned, disbelief and worry mingling together, and she tossed the beans out the window, letting them scatter across the soft earth outside. Jack felt a mixture of concern and wonder, but he said nothing, letting the moment settle, and went to bed in the quiet room he had always slept in. Outside, the world was calm, the evening air cool, carrying faint whispers of distant fields and trees. Jack's thoughts moved slowly, stretching and softening, until they dissolved gently into the quiet of the night. While Jack slept, the beans in the soil stirred. At first, barely, a soft tremble through the earth. Then a green sprout appeared, thin and tender, pushing upward. It stretched steadily, curling and twisting, growing taller and stronger with every heartbeat of the night. By the time morning came, the sprout had become a vast beanstalk, thick and solid, its leaves reaching high into the clouds, swaying gently in the soft wind. Jack looked out the window and saw it rising far above the cottage, and a quiet wonder filled him, a slow, deep curiosity that settled around his heart. Jack knew he would climb it. He placed his hands on the thick, rough stems, noticing their texture under his fingers, solid and reassuring. With one slow step after another, he began to ascend, feeling the gentle sway beneath him, the air growing cooler as he climbed higher, the light around him soft and diffuse. Clouds brushed past him, soft and whispering, carrying the faint scent of distant flowers. He moved steadily, lifting each foot deliberately, following the safe, slow rhythm of the beanstalk, noticing how the height stretched the world beneath him, how the village and fields grew small and distant, melting into soft colors. The air carried the faint hum of wind and distant birds, blending together in a soft, continuous song that seemed to cradle him as he climbed. After a long climb, Jack emerged above the clouds into a world bathed in pale gold and lavender light. The air was still and calm, filled with a quiet hush that made each movement feel weightless. In the distance, he saw a castle rising from the clouds, its towers tall and silent, shimmering faintly in the soft glow. He walked toward it slowly, feeling the quiet thrill of discovery and the gentle hush of the world around him. The clouds beneath his feet rippled slowly, like waves frozen in soft motion, and a faint, distant light shimmered around the horizon, coloring the edges of the clouds in shades of pearl and silver. Inside the castle, everything was vast and still. The walls were smooth, polished softly, reflecting the light in faint glimmers. The floor echoed gently with Jack's quiet steps, and the air smelled faintly of old wood, herbs, and distant warmth. In the largest room, a giant slept peacefully, breathing steadily, the sound soft and even. Nearby lay treasures, a golden hen, a pile of coins stacked carefully, and a harp that shimmered faintly, humming a soft, quiet note in the stillness. Jack moved carefully, almost floating through the space, aware of the calm that filled it. He took the hen into his hands, feeling its warmth and light weight. Then he gathered a small bag of coins, noticing the soft shimmer against the light, and touched the harp, feeling a faint vibration that sang gently through the air. Each action was slow, deliberate, a careful dance of movement and attention, and the castle seemed to respond with a soft, quiet approval. With the treasures gathered, Jack descended the beanstalk carefully. The leaves swayed gently beneath his hands, the wind brushing softly past him, and the clouds whispered as he passed. By the time he reached the ground, the sun was setting, painting the fields in pale orange and rose. He carried the treasures home, noticing the small sounds of evening, birds calling faintly in the distance, leaves rustling, the soft hum of insects settling down. His mother's face lit with relief and quiet joy at the sight of the gold and the hen. Together, they watched as the day faded into a calm night.